Hey, how's it going? My name is Richard Spurgeon, and this is my sustainable home PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to run through the slides. Hopefully, this won't take too long. So, I wanted to create basically kind of like what I have here, which is a log cabin in the mountains. And I wanted to do something that was a little bit more sustainable than what I've got. Currently, I've got an above ground home that was built in like 1942. All logs that were harvested from the property, and you can see like the axe marks in it from when some big sweaty guy cut the stuff down, which is all cool. But my idea to be more sustainable, and it's very drafty. It doesn't regulate temperature worth a crap at all. The energy efficiency of this home, although it is super cool, is like zero. So my thought was to bury something in the side of a hill. Similar, I had a job where I dug out a huge basement for a customer, and they had a two-story house, and half the house was temperature regulated. So came up with a couple of different things. So that's the concept behind this. The house is going to have solar power. I had estimated for a family of five at like 2,700 square feet or so. I put it into my AI tool. I use Grok, and I had Grok do the math for me, and it was somewhere around 11,000 um, kilowatts hour or annually. So I picked a 12,000 kilowatt system, somewhere between the tune of 50 and 80 grand for something like that, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. So for me, I'm going to install the thing myself, and then I'm also going to look for government subsidies to kind of help pay for that. Water management is going to be on well water, just because we have an abundance of aquifers around here. Gray water is going to be filtered and used for irrigation in the garden. So I had posted up something in the discussions where I wanted to use filtered and recycled gray water. Um, per year, I'm looking at a usage of around 50,000 gallons, which seems pretty high. But I'm the type of person to be pretty conservative, so I know that I'm going to pass that along to my children. Spouse that's going to live in the house with me is also going to be pretty conservative, so that number seemed a bit high to me. Okay, construction materials. This one's pretty important. So this obviously being my bread and butter, we are going to build the foundation out of what's called an ICF wall, which is an insulated concrete form. So if you look at my picture, it's this chick holding up a piece of foam, and the foam is a concrete form, and you basically build these forms out of Legos and stack them up to make the form for the wall, and you pour the concrete inside of the forms, right? So basically, an insulated concrete form wall has a waterproof membrane on the outside. It's got a footer drainage for water that accumulates back down the side. Um, Insulation values are extremely high. It's reinforced with rebar, extremely strong. Modern construction technique, very, very, very good. And it's something that I've seen done several different times on different homes. It's almost the standard practice now for anything that's even somewhat earth covered. So that's what I'm going to use for. Now I plan to do like a 70% cover. I'd really want to get like 70% of my house covered completely, like almost completely underground if I can, because I want the common areas to spread out. And I guess that's the next thing, right? So the lighting. I want my common areas to be out front and have like this big overview. So big, huge windows, big two-story looking thing. And the lighting is going to be energy efficient and all this other stuff, but most of it is going to come from the natural lighting because this it's going to be on the side of a mountain and have a viewpoint. So I kind of pictured something like Signal Mountain overlooking the city, something along those lines. It doesn't necessarily have to be in Chattanooga. It just that's where I live now. One thing that I noticed from constructing storm shelters, Jesus, down in Alabama is they have like an earth air tunnel. So for tornadoes and everything, they've got the little hook that sticks out of the ground. That's how you know it's like a little air tube. So if you're driving past and you see a field and you get the little tube sticking out and it's like an earth berm, that's what it is. So basically, it's just an air tunnel to exchange air, oxygen, humidity, carbon dioxide, and it's a natural flow that moves back and forth. So air's not pumped or anything like that. Now my house is going to have an ancillary or a supplementary HVAC system with a heat pump to kind of help regulate temperature throughout the home, but the energy efficiency of it being like an earth covered home is going to be pretty high. Garden. So this one's really cool. So basically, I'm going to take my excavator and I'm going to dig a giant trench, and I am going to use the sides of the trench. I'm going to do what's called benching. So there's a big deep trench in the middle, and then the shallower trenches on each side. are going to have a berm about 3 feet high off of the main depth of the trench in the middle. And that berm right there is going to be where you grow stuff. So if you look at the photo, you can actually walk down some steps down into your main trench, and about hip level is where I did the benching techniques on each side, where I benched it, and then it also has on each side of that, 2 feet more thick of dirt, and then you roof over the top of that thing. So basically, you're doing something very similar. It's like an earth sheltered greenhouse, and your greenhouse filament glass plates. Well, I forget the name of it. The covering. It's eluding me right now. That is going to help control temperature inside of there and get the UV light in there, so you can grow plants all year round. And the earth sheltering is also going to contain the system. So that was one that I was going to have. I was going to have like a regular garden. I was going to have some fruit trees. I got a big pile of mulch in my front yard right now from a giant white pine that came down, where I'm going to plant fruit trees next year. I'm waiting on that stuff to decompose a little bit better. Composting, tilling the soil, basics for gardening. Waste management, so the house is going to be on a septic system, but as far as composting, we're going to recycle plastic and glass. I did not want to be that far outside of the city, so I know this thing said off grid, and I may lose points here, but 20, 25-minute drive as far as I want to go, and that's coming up and off the mountain because I still need to be like, working in town and whatnot. I do not want to be way out in Dunlap or some craziness where it takes an hour to get home. That's not okay for me. I fall asleep driving the truck back and forth to the house. So composting, et cetera, et cetera. Energy efficiency of the home is going to be dependent on how much earth covering it has and how thick the ICF walls are. If you go with a 12-inch ICF wall, which is going to be a lot more cost effective than, let's say, an 18-inch ICF wall, I mean, you're looking at a cost difference of about $5,000 to $6,000. And when you're already pouring like a $14,000 concrete pour for just a standardized basement, that the earth sheltered home can get very, very expensive if you are not the contractor, and that's the whole point behind the thing. So I want to kind of leverage the tools in my toolbox. So this is my YouTube presentation. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Other items. So like I wanted to have like a bar. I wanted to have energy efficient stuff in the living room. I wanted to have like a dome over the top to really let sunlight in. And I wanted to have an enormous garage because I'm a gearhead. I like bikes and cars and all kinds of tractors and all the stuff that boys will be boys and do. So that was my extra item. But yeah, that's my presentation. So thanks for watching.